What's up, my brother?
What's the deal?
How are you?
I'm still alive, brother.
Of course, man. Of course, man. Another year, man. Another day.
Thank God we made it. Better to be seen than viewed.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, man. Appreciate you coming on, my man.
Appreciate you having me, Coach.
What's new for 2021, man? What's your resolution? What do you got planned for the new year?
To get my blue belt finally. To fight. To step into the world, and just to continue to practice my patience, man, and continue to grind and understand, and ain't nothing gonna be easy. That's
Absolutely.
really it.
Absolutely. So you mentioned getting your blue belt, fighting. So for the people who don't know, my man Frampcamp here is a football extraordinaire, high-level football player in his prime. Now he is a coach to the elite athletes in the NFL. Odell Beckham Jr., Deshaun Jackson. Who else? Who are some of the other names you've worked with?
I've been blessed to work with Odell, D-Jack, that's my big cousin. We get it in on and off. Josh Norman, Demario Davis, Robert Griffin. Deshaun goes. I mean, the list go on. I could sit here all day about the guys that I've been blessed to tutor.
Absolutely. So how does it feel making that transition from being a high-level football athlete and training the best athletes in the NFL? Like, what's it like making the transition to a completely different sport in MMA and playing in that world?
I take the same approach, working with great people like yourself and, the AJs of the world and the Joeys, Baby Slices, Coach Tone, and everybody, who understands why I'm doing it. I'm not doing MMA to make a career out of it. I'm doing it just to say that I did so that I could teach, because my primary focus is like yours, jiu-jitsu. My goal in the mixed martial arts world is to teach. I want to become a coach, but I got to go through the ringer first. I can't, just sit here, and I don't want to be a critic without credentials. And I was blessed to play ball at the highest level. I was scheduled to get drafted in the 6th round. Damn, excuse me. I was scheduled to get drafted in the 6th round in the 2012 draft. And I never thought that I would tear my knee, and that hampered my NFL opportunity. I was supposed to sign a prior to free agent deal with the Redskins right after the draft had concluded, but God had another plan for me, and I didn't understand it at the time. So, I grew up gangbanging and doing all that foolishness, man, from the Crenshaw district. And I noticed, like, when we had to scrap, we was just throwing hands. We wasn't doing no damn jiu-jitsu. I didn't know nothing about what that was. Grabbing somebody and twisting up his body and all that, and watching you and greats, like the men that I mentioned and 1,000 others who have more experience. It was something that I wanted to chase, and now I've fallen in love with it, and I can't be without it. So, that's pretty much it, Coach. Just I make the transition by continuing the hard work.
Absolutely. But yeah, we got a lot of people looking forward to that too. So, we got guys too like Sean Merriman now. Sean's training. Sean's getting ready to make his MMA debut at some point here as well.
Yeah.
What other NFL athletes do you think would or should look at making the transition at some point into doing some MMA?
Man, a lot. It's so many that I can't even mention. It's a lot of football players are very strong. You play ball. I could deadlift the world, and that helps. I know just doing a gang of weights don't help in the cage. Anybody can get clipped. But man, there's so many great athletes out there. Shoot, man, you got Vontez Burfict. Of course, he should fight because he always fights somebody on the field. I think fighting would be good for him. I think, man, it's Coach. There's so many. I can't really name them, but it's good to hear that Sean is doing it. Greg Hardy, came from
Yeah,
Dallas to up in there.
he's doing great.
Tyrone Woodley, he played football.
Mm.
You know, I was blessed to talk to him. So it for me, like I said, I'm not trying to make a career. I just want to get a little quick fade to say I did it so I can teach. You feel me?
Yeah.
But I want to learn. My personal goal is to learn the mastery of these and what you have instilled in me as far as, you know, having a safety net, because anybody could get clipped.
Yeah.
Anybody could get clipped. You know,
Yeah.
Floyd almost got knocked out by Sugar Shane Mosley. He just had the willpower to stand up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So learning this art is more of my passion.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned there's a lot of people, NFL athletes, that could do it and maybe should do it. Is there any athlete you can think of that should not try to do this? It's just not for them.
I mean, shit. Hell yeah, it's a lot of them too. You don't like. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Just from my experience in MMA over the past 3, I've been flirting with MMA. I boxed since I was 11, so I got hands. That's not a problem. I kickboxed for 2 years. I did Muay Thai for a year, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu on and off for the last 3. So, but I tell you something. When you step into them places like Black House or the Body Shop with motherfuckers that season like AJ, excuse my language, that's like AJ and like yourself and Joey and Baby Slice and Carlos and everybody, man, you getting kicked. You start questioning this shit. Like, what am I doing in here with these animals? These are mad men. They're savages. You know, I got scars under my eyes and shit, and I've been hurt already, and I ain't even took my official fight yet. I had a smoker fight, and I did well, but, you know, just this sport makes you question your livelihood. You have to face embarrassment, potentially. You have to face injuries, you know, brain injuries, CTE. I played football, coach, for 21 years. You think I'm about to go back up in here and do this shit all over? I'm tired, man. I'm whooped, you know, but to be around, like I said, men like yourself who are high level teachers in jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts, AJ and them, to learn and be I'm a little older than them, but I'm a kid in that world, you know, and I have no problem admitting that. That's why I'm learning so fast and so rapid. So, but to answer your question in a nutshell, it's a lot of motherfuckers who say what they would do. After it's all said and done, it's usually more said than done.
Absolutely, agreed. Yeah. Agreed, 100%. It's definitely not for everybody.
No. It's, Coach, I like I said, I ain't never been kicked so damn hard in my life. Slammed on my neck. Like I said, I used to gang bang. We was from the hood, so when you young, you just put your head down and you just swing and hopefully you get lucky. You know, up in here, you do that, you're gonna get an uppercut, and you're gonna get taken down, then you're gonna get keyboard and
it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good.
You know? Yeah.
You mentioned kind of your upbringing, you know, for people that don't know your story, like you grew up pretty rough and you know, not easy. You don't come from a place that where most people come from. What brought you out of that and kind of brought you to where you are now? Like, you know, you do a lot of stuff for not just for the NFL athletes, but a lot of stuff for the kids, like kids coming up that are pursuing their football dreams. And you got an academy where you teach kids and you do a lot of stuff for the community. So what kind of brought you from that rough upbringing to the place where you're at now?
Honestly, man, just remembering what I went through. You know, I should have been dead on several different occasions growing up in the Crenshaw district. You know, I squabbled. I've been in the youth authorities. You know, I know what it's like to get up in there and be nervous and fight your way out. I know what it's like to get jumped and beat unconscious. I know what it's like to get shot at. I know what it's like to, you know, I ain't going to speak. I'm not going to really get into detail over this camera, but, you know, I know what it's like to do things that you regret. And I think, in all honesty, Coach, you know, the hood gave me PTSD. You know, that's a whole nother war zone within itself. I still suffer from that to this day. My emotions are all over the place at times, which is why I could give the best advice. And it kills me when I see people with both parents who have a different upbringing try to go back to something just to make up for lost time. You got a lot of athletes who are trying to gangbang after they make it. Or you got a lot of rappers trying to be a part of the hood and all that when they get the money, you know? So I just feel like, personally, I can relate to these children. I could relate to the ones that are on the fence. I straddled the fence for a long time. I was gang banging and playing football and boxing. I started at Broadway in 108. I was gang banging, playing football and boxing, but I was good at all of them, you know? So I think that for me, what got me out of that hellhole is just I had an epiphany one day after I tried to kill myself when I didn't make it to the league. You know, I was trying to commit suicide at 21 years old because I started having random anxiety attacks. I started having, you know, a lot of panic disorders, just shit that I never knew even existed. I was like, I'm straight, I'm healthy, you know, not realizing that the things that I've done in the streets, all the drugs that I was doing and stuff like that took a toll on me and I didn't know. And then I thought God cursed me, you know? So as I succeeded and moved forward, I started to find love in fighting again. You know, when I got with my old coach, Coach James, and you know, he started getting my hands back right, and I was about to do a boxing tournament, and you know, and I was like, damn, he turned down the fade, not realizing that in the world of fighting, as you would know, your opponent could back out, and I didn't understand that. I'm like, nigga, you don't turn no fade down whether you win or lose. I don't give a damn. You could put me up in there with whoever. It could be Khabib. He a Muslim, I am too, but I'm a squabble. I lose. But shit, you know, I'm a fight. So for the kids though, unfortunately due to COVID and this pandemic, no matter the ethnicity, idle time is the devil's workshop. You know that. And we've been bombarded with those demonic entities. We've been bombarded with those evil whispers to do a lot of things. And if they had a jiu-jitsu gym in the Crenshaw district in which I come from, they could come talk to me. They could learn how to roll. They could learn how to just be free. And I think that's what my calling is, Coach, is to be a beacon of light for those that are in the darkness. And it's starting at such a young age.
Yeah, well, Jordan and I, my partner at Core Health, we've talked about that, about, you know, doing something with Core Health and, you know, helping out in some of these communities, giving back in some of these communities where, yeah, martial arts and jiu-jitsu and a lot of the stuff we do just from a fitness and health standpoint, it's not accessible, you know. So definitely, you know, we'll keep you posted on how that develops. But yeah, we've got similar visions in giving back to those communities where people just don't have access to information and the same things that some of us had access to coming up.
Let me ask you a question. What about the ones who have the access and you know, or you see that, like, for example, you're a coach, you see great potential in a great fighter. I'll see great potential in a great athlete. And me and you teach these individuals, whether it be jiu-jitsu, whether it be MMA, whether it be football, basketball, we give them the information. They act as though they receive it, and then they go away with it and do whatever it is that they do. And then if something happens to them, you feel guilty. Why is that?
Well, you know, for me, again, it's different, right? Because the things that people are dealing with where you're at is a little bit different than the things that the people where I'm at, you know, are dealing with. But I think a lot of it is the same. Also, the number one thing for me that happens with somebody that I invest time with and do my best to help them grow is that they don't use what they've been given, right? So they've developed you know, all this skill and all this talent, and they have opportunities to do stuff with it, and they don't do anything with it. And now a lot of times that doesn't mean like, oh, you know, here at least they're not, you know, they're not getting into gangs or getting into violence, but a lot of times they're just not getting into something that they excel at. They're not getting into something where they have a great deal of talent, right? So for me, like talent is an obligation. It's like if you have a skill or a craft, something that you developed, or you have knowledge that you're really good at, like you have an obligation to put that out into the world, because believe it or not, like there's somebody out there that needs it. Whether you're making a living off of it, whether you're monetizing it, it's like there's someone out there that needs what you know. And if you're not using it in some capacity, it's like you're hoarding information and gifts that should be given to other people, you know? It's like, you know, we just got through Christmas, and like, you know, I use this analogy sometimes, like gifts are made to be opened, right? So, imagine if you gave somebody a bunch of gifts and they just sat under the tree all year, right? Like,
Right.
that's foolish, right? But you see
Yes,
people
sir.
doing that with their life every single day, where they've been given these gifts. A lot of times by coaches like you and me, where because you can't access everybody, you can't give everybody all of your time and all the information. So the people that do get it, it's an obligation on them to use it. And I think that's the problem in the world in general is that people are pursuing things and trying to do things that a lot of times they haven't really been called to do, and it's usually something that's smaller than the opportunities that they've been given, right? It's usually like you got somebody that's got this great talent in this industry, they're, whether a fighter or they're a football player or they have a great business mind and they should be, starting their own company, but out of fear or doubt or hesitancy, they're working a 9 to 5 instead of stepping out there and putting it on the line and doing what they've been called to do, right? So to me, that's the biggest problem, So whether it's people, where I come from or people where you come from, whether they're not doing what they're supposed to do and getting into, violence and crime, or whether they're just not doing what they're called to do and they're sitting at a desk working a 9 to 5. It's like you're still burying a gift and you're hiding talent that you've been given. That's really for the world. It's really for everybody to experience, and you don't know who you're going to touch with that, right? So I'm with you on that, And I think the only thing you can really do is just like speak into people and encourage them and tell them, about the gifts that they have and try to push them and motivate them to use it.
See, I think I don't want to say fear because I'm afraid of nothing, but I think my biggest concern, I would say, is where I come from. Once I start teaching the shit that you showed me, it's going to get used in a different way. Because you shown me a lot just over the past year almost, and my other coach, you know what I mean? And I'm by your grace, I'm rolling up purples and browns. You know what I mean? So but if I had that type of mentality like a hood nigga still or a hood baby, I'll take this to the hood and I'll tie up my homies and put their bodies in bowls and then they're gonna want to kill me for it.
Here's the thing. I think that's the case when people are starting out, right? Like when people are just like, think about it. You can even see that honestly in like gang culture, right? Like the OGs, older people who have been through it and they've experienced it, they know like the downfalls and all of the the stupidity that's attached to some of the things that's done in that world, right? So as they get older and they get more mature, they realize like, like this isn't what I should be doing, and it's the same thing in jiu-jitsu and the mixed martial arts world. You got guys that come in and they learn a few moves, like like it's funny. I was having this conversation with somebody. I can't remember who it was, but I was basically saying how like the toughest guy on the planet, the most invincible guy on the planet is like, is a new blue belt somewhere, right? Because like, guys get their blue belt and all of a sudden they think they could beat up anybody. They think they own the world, right? because they know a little, but because they know a little, but because they know so little, they think they know a lot. You know what I mean? I see this in business sometimes too. We've been in these conference rooms these last few days, and I've been listening to these experts talk, and the guys that seem to talk the most are like the people that know the least. You know what I mean? Like I see this. You see this at a bar sometimes when you go and you watch the fights. Like, and you hear these guys. I'll hear these guys talking, and they have no idea that that I'm in the fight game or anything. And they're like, "Oh, he needs to do this. Oh, he should be doing this." And in my mind, I'm like, "You don't have a clue what you're talking about, right?" So, yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the issue when you're first starting out. But as people get more experience and they stay in the game, it's like, they'll learn. And the beauty of that is they don't know a lot. So they'll find out how little they know. You get these new people that learn a couple moves. Come on. They'll run into a big tough guy somewhere and they'll realize like, yeah, you don't know a lot.
Right. But that's why I would ask you, like, as a coach, because I started like that. I just never been a bully, but now that I've been in it for a little while, I be like, I'm cool. Like, I don't want to be doing none of that because I understand now because you and Coach Tone and my other coach Dean and whatever, Caesar Carlson, everybody, I've been taught how to actually fold a human being like clothes. With his clothes on. That's dangerous. That's really dangerous. So now that I've learned a little bit or whatever, I think I passed that level. But as a coach, I would ask you, how, because this is my end all be all, how would you teach somebody that you know could potentially use this for the wrong reasons?
Again, so I think the more that you train, right, the more humble you become. You know what I mean? Because the more guys come in the gym, the more they realize, like, oh, wow, like, man, I mean, think about it. You know, I got big, tough guys that come in the gym, you know, 300-pounders, and they bench this and they squat that, and, you know, you just throw them around like kids. Or they'll go train with somebody like Rachel who will, like, choke them out. Like, this 125-pound girl, like, just could have broke my arm or just choked me to sleep, right? Or Matt, who's 125 pounds. Like, how is this little guy just holding me and controlling me like this? Like, they start to realize that they don't know a lot. You know what I mean? So I think the more they train, the more humble they become. And you know, honestly, I feel like if the whole world trained, we'd be a better place. People wouldn't be running around, you know.
Everybody can't do this shit. This shit different. I don't know why I'm still holding on.
For sure. For sure. You got the right mentality. So
true. Yes, sir.
So yeah, no, I think I don't think it's as much of a concern. The other thing too is, like, when you really start training people, it's more than just the physical, you know.
Yes, sir.
You know, you become a mentor to them, and they value the words you speak into them, you know. So
yes, sir.
I think honestly, like, you know, again, this is something that we talked about, but I think, like, having, you know, these types of training facilities available in inner cities for at-risk youth is one of the best things you possibly could do, you know, to help kids to you know, give them more opportunities and just see the world differently. You know, that's one of the other things that you really get with training, is that you get exposed to so many different diverse cultures and backgrounds that you just start to appreciate people that you otherwise would never have interacted with, you know? So
yeah,
it's one of the best things you could do. Same, you know, I was having this conversation before too with a couple of police officers. Like, that's one of the best things you could do for them too. It's like, you know, you have these because they need to train too. They need to train just as bad as the at-risk youth.
Right.
A lot of the problems you're seeing with police brutality and all this other stuff is people, you know, you have people that are just untrained. And when you're untrained, you're afraid. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in situations before that were a bit sketchy, and I see people that are, you know, that may be a problem, but I'm not afraid. I'm aware, but I'm not afraid. But if I didn't know what I know, I probably would be like, I would be more aggressive. I would probably be more aggressive because, you know, when you don't have that confidence and that knowledge, you have to, like, think. You know, you got to strike first, and you got to think about protecting yourself more so than somebody that is certain of what they're able to do, you know, and you don't got to get the jump on somebody, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like that, my brother. I like that.
Let's tap in with some of these questions and comments. Much respect on how real this topic is. Our partners at DFO Global. I don't know if that's Matt or Jordan. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's J-Roll. But yeah, J-Roll said much respect on how real this topic is, man. We got to tap in and get him on here too. Our Dr. Capo's in the house. Doc, thank you for joining us. Our favorite nutritionist to the stars, Dr. Capo's in here. Our favorite Italian, Pachama Limani. Sammy wants to know, what was the hardest part about transitioning from football to MMA?
Great question. Consistent absorption of pain. Like, just because in football, you running 100 miles an hour, knocking your body into someone. Yeah. But if your left or right rib is consistently getting kicked, or your IT band or your thighs, or you getting choked, or your arm almost ripped out of place or hitting the head and you have to, unfortunately, get used to, you know, consistent absorption. That was the hardest part for me. Well, not really because I boxed, but the legs and jujitsu, like Coach said, you know, I stepped into a jujitsu gym in 2017, and I was like, I played football, so I'm like, I'm about to muscle everybody around, I'm about to slam everybody, and all that. And it was this guy, man, who was about max size, about 130, 5'3", 5'4". And I'm like, man, I don't want to hurt you. You know, I had my whole mindset, right? He was a purple belt, I believe. And man, we had the gi on, and he choked me, man, and I was embarrassed, so I made him take his gi off, and I'm like, man, just do this regular, like nigga, hold me down regular. You know, my gang banging came out, and he just crawled up my body, and I couldn't shake him, and then he mouse trapped my leg. Then he had my arm as a gator wrap, like for a kimura. And then he flipped me to an omoplata. And it was so much. And I'm just like, what the hell are these terms? What is a de la Riva? All this was foreign to me. So I think it was very humbling. That the jiu-jitsu was it's the most beautiful and purest art form of controlled violence in the world, in my opinion. And so my transition from football to MMA, I mean, I'm used to getting rugged and, you know, fighting and being aggressive, but controlled aggression, because you can't overdo it in there. One wrong move, you open, it's over. You know what I mean? You out of there. So just learning how to control aggression, learning when to shoot and stuff like that. It definitely was a transition, but that's how I did it. Just absorb it.
I feel like football's more though, man. For me, like
listen, look, think about this, right? You got on a helmet. You got on shoulder pads.
Yeah, but you banging heads like
you are right, but you could evade and you could avoid, and you got 10 other people that's helping you do that. Up in there in that cage or up in that boxing square, it's just you and them. Like it ain't nothing else. I don't give a damn how much you taught me. If all of that goes, my bad. If all of that goes out of the window once I step in there, I'm about to just go back to my hood days and swing with my head down and get lucky. I don't want to do that. I want a single leg taking down, controlling.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't do that.
But that's what I'm telling you. Football is not. It's, in my opinion, mixed martial arts, MMA fighters have it much more worse as far as physical trauma than a football player. Don't get me wrong. I do both. I've done both. So consistent head banging, yes, that's CTE. And you can break your legs, all that. But if somebody is prideful in here and don't tap.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man. And they ain't going to really know because of adrenaline. So I don't know. I just think, you know, you ain't got nothing to protect you other than some shin guards that amateurs wear. Like you know what I mean?
True. No, that's true. Absolutely. We got a couple other good questions here. Coming from South Central, how do you stay focused on your goal? I'm not sure if that question is for me or is that for you?
You ain't from South Central. You got to cut this out. Well, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's hard because I'm always tempted and itch when I'm angry, because I'm human, to go back to my old ways. And then when I have those thoughts, I'll go meet with Coach Manley and get my ass rolled up. You feel me? Just to remain humble, because I know what I know. And I know that 90% of the people where I come from not doing this type of shit. And they probably flirted with it and stopped at a certain level. But I'm with somebody like Coach Manley and whomever else that is exquisite at what they teach. I'm learning high level stuff. So if I take that and you know, use it, of course, to defend myself, that's one thing. But to abuse it, I think I'll bear the biggest brunt of karma. I have to reap what I sow, because what I've learned, you know, will kill a man, you know, without any bullets, any knives, any nothing, just from my own body parts. So it's tough. It's tough though, because it is a challenge, man. Especially when your dad is who your dad is. My daddy was a real crip, and I tried to live into his shoes. He was like the Tookie Williams of the set, you know, and that shit is it makes you think about all the shit that you survived, man. And I thank God for some of the prayers that he didn't answer, and some of the times that my gun did jam. You know what I mean? Because I probably wouldn't be talking to you. So I think about those things when I'm tempted to go backwards, you know, to the hood.
Do you still talk to your pops often, or how's your interaction with them?
I do. You know, he been down for 22 years. He left when I was 9.5, and you know, it's good for what it's worth. But the streets kind of took his place. You know what I mean? I was fortunate enough to have a grandfather who's Muslim, which is why I'm Muslim now, and in the Nation of Islam and stuff like that. But I let him know that not too long ago that it was very difficult without you being in my life. A lot of I was searching through gangs to try to find acceptance. I just knew how to fight, so everybody loved me, you know. But other than that, nah, that shit gave me PTSD.
Yeah. Does he know what you're up to now with MMA and all the stuff you're pursuing? All the stuff you're doing in the community, everything.
He's proud of it. My
Absolutely.
daddy a fighter. He fought when he was much younger. He was a squad, but he been knocking people out for years. It's in my DNA. So he like, I told him like, Dad, I'm gonna be nervous. He was like, nigga, get cracking. What you mean? Just get it over. Just get cracking. It don't matter. Win, lose, or draw. So I think for me, Coach, like stepping into a cage or a tournament, whatever, even if I lost, man, like my victory is getting in there. You know, coming from where I come from, you know what I mean? Just stepping in there, anything extra or my hand raised instead of my opponents, that's just a blessing, you know, but I'm not really tripping off of that. I just got to shake this shit and get up in there. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get to a couple more questions before we let you run.
Okay.
Let's see what we got here. What's your favorite movie of all time?
The Outsiders, Ponyboy Curtis.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, snap.
Come on.
Oh, The Outsiders. Yeah, okay. Ponyboy Curtis.
Come on, man.
Well, we read that book in like, was it 8th, 9th grade? Oh,
Seventh grade. Yep, I read it 3 times.
Did you? But have you watched the movie though?
Come on, man. Yeah. So
that's a classic. That's a classic. Okay. Oh, this is a great one. If you had the chance to fight another NFL player, who would it be?
Whoever. I don't give a fuck. It's my language. But nah, I don't know.
Nope.
Whoever.
There's no NFL. There's nobody in the NFL you want to knock out, huh?
Whoever was in front of me playing DB at the time when I was lined up a receiver. It could be my training partner. It could be Demario Davis. Me and Demario was supposed to fight. And he bigger than me. You feel me? We were supposed to get out in college, but he was always a brother of peace and love, you know?
Brother of peace and love, yeah.
But nah, I mean, whoever, I don't know. I had never thought about it because I'm such a peaceful dude. I don't want to call nobody out because I don't operate like that. I don't understand how a motherfucker could. That's what I was going to ask you. How do you call somebody out and then get your ass slapped and then just live like that? I mean, unless Dana White is giving you money to sell the fight, but damn.
Well, again, most people, if they're calling somebody out, they're not expecting to get slapped. But there's some out there. There's some, I ain't gonna say no names, but there's some guys out there that like they know they don't have a lot of skill. They're just looking to pick up a bag. So they out there selling it and trying to get up anybody they can.
Yeah. I got it.
Right. But yeah, man. Okay. Well, brother, we appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Always good having you, brother. Thank you for all the knowledge, man. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir, brother. Good deal, man. All right, my brother. Be cool.
Appreciate you, my brother.